Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Brothers in Influence podcast, where we stand to encourage, inspire, and add value to Black men in the areas of life, leadership, and community. We consist of 5 brothers discussing relevant topics with candor and care. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go. Yeah.
And let's go.
We're back for episode 20.
Episode 20.
How we feeling, fellas?
Hey, I feel like I ain't gonna say we're not in the infant stages no more. We growing up, fellas. We growing up. I would say I got my big boy playing song, but now we ain't there yet. 20 ain't big boy yet.
Still got some snotty noses, but
yeah.
Snotty nose. Are we toddling?
Hey, let's put it this way: we crawling, we pulling up, right? Yeah, we pulling up on stuff, right? We trying to get that walk thing together, trying to get that 1-2 step, That's
right,
what's up.
Right.
Episode 20.
Yeah, normally we wouldn't be appreciate being described in that context, but we appreciate the process over here at the Brothers in Influence podcast. So
hey, that takes maturity, brother.
Now.
That takes maturity and experience, right? That's experience and maturity talking right there.
Yes, sir. How we doing, man? How's everybody doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Been a good week. Working on my destiny. Getting there.
Okay.
So yeah, just been enjoying the ride as we're all working on books. So I just want to throw that out there. Enjoying thinking
like someone just took my curtains. What up? Don't mess up.
We're talking about you.
So yeah, that's what I've been just diving into that and rethinking some of the concepts and even reflecting on my time in prison, because I learned so much during that time, met so many good people during that time, and just like reflecting on that too, because a lot of the things I've learned and gained in life up to this point stem from there. So just being able to reflect on some of those things and remembering some people maybe I ain't in contact with no more, but the relationship we're talking about connections, so kind of lines right up, just remembering them relationships and what I gained from it. And so yeah, it's been pretty good for me this week.
Hey, he went deep real quick too, right? He real quick, but hold on. But the opening statement was, it's been a good week. I'm working on my destiny. I mean,
yeah, and the book is part of that. So it's so this book, it's the book and the course that's going to be that the book will be taught a part of is it's something it's an idea I've always had. I've had for years since being in prison. So now I'm just really jumping back in, looking at. I got notes from years, and so just looking back at some of that stuff, looking at some of the concepts and seeing how they were then and how I think now, and just adjusting things, stuff like that. So
yeah, now, and you did catch what he said though. He said book and course, right? So he just put himself all the way out there.
Yeah.
So everybody gonna be looking for this book and course, right? Yeah, book and course.
And I got a couple guys that I know that's gonna keep me on it, so I ain't worried about it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Hey man, it's just a process, right?
Right. Yeah. If the guys you talking about are the guys I know, you in trouble.
Yeah. You might know him.
I might know a little something about him. What's going on, Ian, brother? You always asking us what's going on, man. What's going on with you? How's life on your end of the world?
Man, is this like a first on the podcast? Nobody asked me how I'm doing.
Oh no! Yeah, I had to give you the face. Come on.
Oh man, I'm good, man. Listen, I got my bottle of Frank's back here. Look, I'm not even gonna bring it up on screen because
going down.
they sponsor. If they want to sponsor, you know what I'm saying?
He said, "They just get the top though. Just the top."
The back of the bottle.
The ingredients, right? Yeah, we said the ingredients. That's funny.
Yeah, I'm good, man. My wife made sure I was eating. She dropped off this plate like 5 minutes before we went live.
Yeah. I was trying to get me one, but we ain't came that far with technology where we can transfer.
Yeah, we're going to drop what was on that plate real quick because
I didn't. What? Come on, man. It's tacos. It's taco on Monday. Tacos on Monday.
Okay.
We keeping it simple. We've been grinding today. But listen, I'm gonna give a shout out to my better half though. She's officially a licensed clinical social worker as of today. This morning she took the state test and passed.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Now there was none, absolutely none. But she'd worked hard for a while. She's been studying hard for a while, man. Listen, this lady's dedication. She had downloaded an app that was quizzing her. She had, and the resources that they got. It's like textbook money. Like how, I don't know, y'all ain't that young no more. But when y'all was in college, and they was talking about 100+ for a textbook. You know what I'm saying? 200. Now these days it's like 200 something for a textbook.
It was 200 back then too, players. It's like 239. Quit playing.
Yeah, you're right. Now it's like 200 for a digital download of the textbook.
Right.
They don't even get the right. You know what I mean? But she's keeping on the grind, and so it's the fruit of all her labors. Man, I can reflect. We talking about connection and reflection, boy.
Mm-hmm.
About those years she was in school, man, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough. She worked incredibly hard, but that was a rough spot for our relationship. We both working full time, and she spends her hours in a book or, in a classroom.
Ooh. Flashbacks, boy. Flashbacks.
Somebody posted the other day that Marvin Sapp said we never should have dated. But we never would have made it, I think is the right way to say that. We made it all. We made it though. So,
right, yeah. But how about you though? Because you in that same boat right now, right? Where you at with your classes?
Listen, man, it's coming along, brother. I got like a year. It's a grind, man. I had to shut some stuff down, as you guys know, or as my brothers know, those guys that I actually talk to on a regular basis. I did call them and let them know what was happening in my life. I don't know if you guys know, but I did let my brothers know. But
yeah, I love it. Yeah,
I had to shut some stuff down, man. It was getting too heavy. Now I've got I rearranged some things in that was occupying my time and really requiring energy and things that I needed to have balance. I had to focus on things that are most important, according to not only me but my wife. So feeling a lot more balanced. But you know what? While I say that, I would be remiss to not admit that I was working on a project Saturday and I pulled an all-nighter.
Oh. Okay.
I pulled an all-nighter. So I'm over here talking about balance and rebalance. But I think, setting things in order, I was hyped. I was like, now I got the energy, I got the freedom to,
Right.
I don't have these extra things occupying my attention and my time. And I'm on it. I'm ready to go. So I was like, man, I ain't done that. I don't know. When's the last time I pulled an all-nighter? I ain't that young no more.
That's how the turtle run the race.
Hey, that's funny though, because I think it was on Facebook. I can't even see it. I'm not even that dude, but I am about to be that dude today. Like on Facebook, did you see that? Like they actually did the tortoise and the hare like live. Like it was an actual tortoise. No, yeah, there was an actual hare. If I find it again, I sent you. But who won the race?
It sounded like I imagine
the tortoise. The tortoise did.
For real.
Boy, there's so many lessons I could pull out of that right there. If you gotta watch it though, you have to see it to understand it.
Like, you know what's one of those things, like you hear the story as a kid and you grow and you're like, nah, that wouldn't really happen.
Right. I mean, logically, right? It's a rabbit. Like again, it's a rabbit. But so you went there, so I gotta go there now, right? You went there, so I gotta go there. Like if we think about it, a rabbit most of the time, the only time we see a rabbit take off and the speed and everything that we know about a rabbit is when what?
When they're running away.
It's being exactly when they're being chased, right? But if they ain't gotta move, they sit and do what? Eat. Right? I mean, I get rabbits in my yard all the time and they sitting there chilling unless something comes up or just and then they gone like that.
True.
Yeah, so it was interesting to watch. Like the tortoise, he just kept rolling. And I mean, he just kept rolling slowly but surely. The hair would move.
Wow.
Stop. Yeah, that bad boy even went backwards a little bit, I think. And then he just stopped and was just chewing. The tortoise kept walking. I'm like, wow.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Nothing for sure.
Yeah, I just found it.
Shout out to Scott Minton. He's actually a guy I know personally, local community leader, great guy, serving on the school board. Balance is important, but sometimes you got to put in that work, man. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that I ain't getting judged out here trying to be on my grind.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, we understand. We understand completely.
I know my brothers understand. I appreciate the brotherhood, Scott. Thanks for tuning in, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, Sherrod, it's your turn, man. What's up with you?
Oh man, I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and I'm gonna say that the reason why I say that, like, I'm just full of life right now, and it's interesting when I say that from the perspective of just over these past couple of days, just the opportunities I've had. So there's just two in a very simple things, but it's just all about the fact that I was able to lend or just do something for someone else, right? It's so interesting when you put yourself in a position to where you can give yourself someone freely. They never asked. You just saw they needed something and you helped them. Prime example number one was this, and it's something simple. We've all done it, but again, this is just laying on me today. Going home and I forget where I was at. Actually, matter of fact, coming home from church yesterday, I had to stop, do this, do that, do this, that, and I'm trying to get to the house. Coming down the road, come to a light, and there's a Jeep, and from the distance, I'm like, well, why are they still sitting there? Because all these cars are going past. So of course, as you roll up on it, I see the hood up. Guy keeps moving back and forth, but cars keep passing them. No one's stopping. So I just pull up behind him, throw on my caution lights, get out. And I'm like, man, you need some help? He's like, nah, I don't know what's happening. But anyhow, I just then turned around and stopped and pushed him and helped him get up on the side of the road. I didn't do what everybody else did, right? And just passed him up, even though it was clear he needed some help, right? And we've all done that before. And then I made a post today about just, I pay attention to the fact that I go out of my way to make sure that I'm always polite, courteous, and respectful when I speak to people. And it's interesting when you do that because some people are thrown off by that, which is very surprising, right? When you just go and you're like, hey, how you doing? I've had, I don't know how many phone calls a day. And every time I got on the phone, it was like, hey, good morning. How you doing? How's your day go? How was your weekend? And it's just a moment of silence on the phone. Like, are you talking to someone else? Or are you talking to me? Like, I'm good. How are you doing? Like, and it just changes the whole mood or the whole conversation, right? The whole interaction. And the reason why I posted that was to even say that, again, I never know if I'm going to come across or we're going to cross paths again. But I think that's also just a straight demonstration of leadership because, again, it's all about that first encounter, right? Being able to make that first impression. Again, if I'm just polite, respectful, and courteous, and then let's say later on down the road, they come across a webinar or a seminar, who knows what it is that we come across. They're going to remember that time that I took to just be polite, speak, ask how their day was doing. Right. So because of those two little things, I'm blessed, brother.
Wow, man. That's great. That's great.
Awesome.
So what you working on though?
He was like, yeah, that's great. That's good. So what you doing? What you working on, bro? Oh man. Let's see. What am I not working on? Right. but I'm working on a book. I am also I'm working on a book. I'm also working on creating a course or 2, potentially 3. So
Man,
that's what I'm working on. Yeah.
See, that's why I'm pulling all nighters, man. Just trying to keep up with y'all.
So,
shoot. Shout out to brother Bear. Go ahead.
Nah, what I want to say, man, is just again, I think that just goes back to what we're talking about, right? Why, just even let's go ahead and just jump into this conversation of the value of connections, right?
Yeah.
So if we think about that, all 3 of us or all 5 of us, or in actuality, we push each other, right? So I even think it's important that we understand the fact that, again, even though we're talking about the various different things that we're doing, they're all still connected because we're connected. And because you're doing what you're doing is actually an inspiration to me and to Shate to help us. Okay, well, if my man's doing it, then hey, we got to get on our grind, because one, we want to be able to still be at our best. So when you need us, we're not just sitting here chilling, not doing anything, to where you're, whatever you're working on, you ask us a question like, hey, bro, we need some help. I need some help. And we're like, oh, okay, well, what you need help with? Right. But yet we're still working on stuff that's continuing to allow us to develop and grow. Right. So we can help and grow each other at the same time. So the value of connections is definitely there.
Shante, what's the word say about
it?
What the word say about connections?
Yeah. About what Sherrod just described?
Iron sharpen iron.
Yeah, that's one. But I was gonna kind of go a different way when it's some, and where the word talks about the word talks about how will people know us? Right? Love. So and so why did I go that route? Because iron does sharpen iron, and that's a very important principle. But if there's no love, can it be sharpened? So that's why I started with love, and that's what we've developed over a short period of time, a brotherhood, a love, a bond, and not only for what each of us are doing as individuals, but also what we have planned to do together as a whole. So when we talk about connection, we as individuals are doing things. However, because of the connection, we're developing things to do together, right? And so that's how. Now that goes back to your question. Now that goes back to your question, Ian. Based on what he said, iron sharpens iron, because that's what we're doing. We're sharpening one another as we're developing as individuals. But at the same time, Sherrod said, if you ask us a question, guess what? Now we're there with you. We're there for one another. Oh, what you need help with? When I'm talking about the book, I sent you guys a text. Or what do you think about this?
Right.
How? And now not only am I'm dealing with a book, now I'm dealing with a book and a course, because of what would that iron sharpening iron saying, guess what? You got what you got is good. What you got is good. Okay, I was thinking about this, and then something else springs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That is where that came from. Now that I think about that text. Yep. That course came from that. That's right. Yeah. But here's the beautiful thing. I think that the connection is, now we're talking about purpose, right? Iron sharpen iron is great. But now the reason iron is going to sharpen iron is because of the motivation, and that being love, right? Yeah. Because our purpose is to help and love each other. The result is that we're now being able to sharpen each other.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I think you're saying, guys, is like iron sharpens iron, yes, but the iron has to connect first.
Yes, sir.
It does. It does.
So go ahead, bro.
So because so many people, or you'll see a group of people, but everybody's just not growing. I'm just gonna put it is what it is. Everybody ain't growing, and people will make comments like the iron sharpens iron or whatever. As we're gathered as a group, we all learn more, what have you. But only intentionality causes the iron to be sharpened. If there's no intentionality, because just because you're a part of a group, if I joined the Urban League, that don't make that I'm gonna be something. I'm gonna do something just because I joined. I'm a part of it. But if I get involved, if I'm intentional, and I say I'm not joining just because it's the Urban League, but if I say I'm going to join it because I want to do X, Y, and Z, or I want to learn X, Y, and Z, then there's intentionality behind it. And then that spark begins, that fire begins to kindle because I'm intentional about what I want, why I'm a part of this. Brothers in influence. What do we life, leadership, and community? That's what it's about. So anytime we're even conversing, no matter what we're talking about, it always evolves around those three things, one way or another.
Yeah.
Because our intent as a whole is, guess what? That's what we want to spread. We want to impact lives, not for someone to say, "Oh, Shante did this," or "Oh, Ian did this." No, we want to do it because it's a passion we have. We want to be able to share with others the things we've learned, the things we've gleaned in life from one another and others, and be able to add value to that person's life without anything in return.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the great thing about that is that when you do something you're passionate about, everything else is going to come, right? Because that's not your motive. So those things are going to come. So one day, one of us gonna jump on and be like, "Man, y'all ain't gonna believe what happened." Now, I usually be the one be like, "Nah, I'm waiting for it. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it." But it's just things happen like that. And It could have been the person you said you stopped and seen. It could be 5 years down the line. You would never. He'd be like, he'd come up to you, be like, "Man, you don't remember me," but and it's like, wow, I'm here because of that act of kindness, that act of adding value to someone. Not only adding to someone, but someone you completely did not know.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
It reminds me of another scripture. And maybe y'all can help me out. It talks about how what reward is there to love someone when you know you get something in return versus the reward you get when you love someone knowing that you may or may not get a return. Now, I'll find it.
No, I
would say, where's Lorenzo when you need him?
Yeah, I believe I know what you're talking about, but I don't know if it means that, so I'm not for sure.
Yeah,
but it sounds like the scripture where it's talking about basically you doing something, whether it's for love or not. Is that what you're getting at? Or not?
I got it. Luke 6. It says, "If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you?"
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Sinners love those who love them, and if you're good to those are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? So it's like it doesn't set you apart, Give when you know you're gonna get back, but when you can love when you know you're not getting anything in return.
And that's just exciting, isn't it? Like that's just like that makes me happy. That's crazy, ain't it? Like just there's no strings attached. There's I feel like Pokio, right? There's no strings attached to. I don't know how that sounds, but you know what I'm saying? Like there ain't no strings on me, right? Because again, there was never that when there's a motive, then again the intent is then tainted. I'm gonna say that again. When there's a motive, the intent is tainted. Because then at that particular time, it's what you're getting or what you're going to get in return and not what you're giving.
Right.
Losing the value. There is no value. Why? Because you're going to get the value, right? Because you're already expecting something. But the value of the connection is, again, when you do it completely out of love, with no expectation, giving freely of yourself because you can, because you want to, and dare I say, because you should, right? And if I could, I want to jump back real quick, just even thinking about this iron sharpening iron. Like, so let's even thinking about a piece of iron. Like a piece of iron is just a piece of iron until it's heated. But the only reason you're going to heat iron to mold it, develop it, shape it into what you envision it to be is only when you have a vision of what you want it to be or the purpose that it's going to serve. But still, even in that, there's still a process of heating, cooling, and cooling until you get it to the point to where you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing when we think about connections, when we think about just the value of a connection, it has to go through a heating and cooling process. Because again, the value of the connection is not just based on the connection, but what's developed and grown from it. What is its purpose? What is the intent? So just like iron, in order for it to be malleable and form it and shape it, it has to be heated. But in order for you to actually do that, you have to have a vision first. So what's the vision for the connection? Why are you doing it? What's the purpose behind it? It's for you. If it's for you to gain something. And again, let's not even be, so super holy or whatever that think that, okay, that we don't want something in return, because we always want something in return. But is it coming from a authentic place, right? Is it going to be, what is it going to be reciprocated back? What I give, am I expecting the same thing that I give to be returned to me, right? Or do I expect something of greater value? So.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like why we're doing this, right? We've shown up every week for 20 episodes, right? We're not expecting, we have an expectation, right? We want to reach and inspire and add value, but we know that this doesn't guarantee us anything in return. We are investing and we're sowing, and the fruit. We're not completely sure what that would be.
Well, actually, I would say just the fruit right now is just the connection and the bond that we continue to grow every time we continue to get on this every Monday and connect and talk and rap and allow God to use us, right? That's the fruit. I mean, there's no greater.
So we couldn't have imagined what it looked like in episode 20.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because the reality of it is that every fruit has a seed. Right. Every fruit has a seed.
Yes, sir.
So it gets to a point to where even the fruit that we produce is then going to produce more seed or more fruit, right? Because again, the seed is going to get planted somewhere.
And here's the thing about it, though. I think it's amazing is that though that's we have that understanding because we understand the principle of reaping and sowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once we plant the seed, we don't have any control over what happens next.
You're absolutely right.
We don't have control over what happens next. So somebody catches a soundbite from the Brothers in Influence podcast and it plants a seed, right? They may never listen to another episode. But it's just like the scripture says about the gospel. One man plant the seed, another man watereth, but God bringeth the increase. And that's
absolutely
kind of what we have, believing that the seeds we sown are quality seed. It's quality, that there is value. That we're not just trying to make you feel good and juice you up, but we're actually planting seeds that can bloom into legacies. As our leadership locksmith says, he turns leaders into legacies.
Right. Yep. And the thing about throwing seed, right, is this also what the word says, right? Some's going to fall on stony ground. Some's going to fall on thorny ground, right? But then there's some, right? There's going to be a few that's going to fall on good ground, right?
Yes,
it's going to fall on good ground. I don't know if we need to go ahead and pass the offering plate or not. We over here preaching, boy. Let's get it. Let's get it.
What's been in my spirit for like 3 weeks now? I just haven't gotten around to doing it. I'm gonna put a old shouting chord, gospel chord, or chord on my soundboard. Because y'all been preaching.
Yeah, but I don't know. We better be prepared for what happens, because I know at least out of the four of us that are on here, one of us gonna catch it. It's gonna hit us, and then it's over. It's over.
Yes, sir.
They gonna be like, hit that chord again, brother.
But I'm gonna send y'all white handkerchiefs.
Yeah, but again, I mean, that just even speaks to the value of connection, right? Being on one accord, right? Being on one accord, man. Just and the relationships, right? That's, I think, when even if we think about just the title itself, right? The value of connection, because I just been sitting here looking at it, the value of the connection, right? The value is in, right? Value is great, but value can only be demonstrated, or it is a result of the connection, right? So it's all about what it's connected to, who it's connected to, and then what are they connected to? Because it has to get nourishment from something. So how are we nourishing? How are we developing? How are we growing that value? So you have the value, but the value is only valuable through the connection, because that's where the value is, without making that very complicated.
Yes, sir.
So
Uh-oh.
I'm kind of throw a little curveball.
Oh man.
And I hate baseball.
So, because we're talking about the value of connection, but then I would encourage someone to ask themselves the
value
question,
is without.
What is the value of my connection? Whatever it is, whether it's a connection with you and your wife, your child. I think that's a power question right there, because when we're talking about connection, the value of a connection. And once again, I'm gonna jump back. We did this several times over the last few weeks, but going back to values, because your value is, the values you have are going to dictate the importance of those connections. It's going to dictate how those connections go. If I really don't have solid values, I don't understand what they are. If I'm just telling you what they are, but I don't get the concept of what they are. They're not rooted for me. Guess what? Something will happen, and guess what? I'll compromise easily, because I don't have a solid foundation of what it is. And that's one of the as I'm working on this book, that's one of the things I kind of changed, that I'm going to start with that.
Right.
Because you can't change your current situation no matter what it is. Because I like to ask a person, what's in between where you are and what you want? And you know what it is? It's potential. That's what's in between there, because you're somewhere at this moment and you have an idea of what you want to be. What's in between is potential. But the thing is what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with the potential you have to get to where you want to be?
And to that though, Shante, is this, in most cases, I mean, even to, well, I'll speak for me, but again, to us on this call, like, the reality of it is, we know potential, we know we have potential, but do we know what our potential is, what it looks like? And that takes a specific and intentional, like, look in the mirror, right? Based on, again, yes, values, but then values lead to what? Or a product of goals, right? That's then connected to purpose, right? So once I identify what my purpose is, then I can say, okay, that's where my value lies. And based on my values, these are my goals. But then, okay, these are my goals. But to your point, in order for me to reach my goals and utilize my value, I need to know my potential, right? So my potential is then is subject to my ability for application. How do I apply my values to my goals through my potential? which then goes back to, you know, what we talked about as far as with, you know, just knowing and using the DISC assessment, right? Being self-aware. Because then within there, you're going to identify what your values are, where your potential lies, or your opportunities. Mm-hmm. And then being able to kind of line those dominoes up, because it's really all about dominoes, right? If we look at all those different, because value talks to characteristics, right? Personal belief, right? Personal intention. It even talks to even like your work ethic, right? Those are all pieces. You know, I even made a post the other day about just being able to just work on the puzzle of life, right? We all have a vision. We all have a vision of what we see our life to be, right? Because of, again, our potential, what I potentially want out of my life, what I potentially see my ability to do. Mm-hmm. And I see it. And I'm putting this puzzle together. But one of the things I said in that post is, you know, if you see the vision, if you know it, are you putting it together by yourself? Because here's the reality. Can you put the puzzle together by yourself? Absolutely. Right. But how much time are you wasting doing it by yourself? Now, here's the reality. Just getting someone to come and help you put the puzzle together, you can't just get anybody, right? Again, seed falls on rocky ground, it falls on thorny ground, but then it falls on good ground. So the reality of it is, if I have a vision and if I want to really put my puzzle of life together, then I really want to connect myself, right? Or have the right connection, the value connections that have the same shared values, the same shared goals, that we're going in the same direction, right? We don't have to necessarily be going in the same direction the entire time. But the reality of it is that if I can help someone else get to where they're getting to, then the value of that connection is that they're going to be able to help me too. But again, remember, I just said, if I can help someone else, that was my intention. That's where I went first. Because if I can help them, somewhere along the line, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some help. So who's helping you put that puzzle together? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on that tangent, but you know,
it's good, bro. It's good. It's good. I mean, I just want to give another shout out to Brother Bray Rich. He's been tuning in faithfully from week to week for the last several weeks. She says blessings to the brothers from Jamaica. And we cannot influence if we do not connect. I think that's what we kind of talked about. He summed it up real nicely right there.
Woo. Right. We can go ahead and just call it a day right there. Chop it up. Let's go ahead and just close it out. She said it all right there. Simple. Simple. We cannot influence if we do not connect.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's like we know because of the work that we do that most people just don't realize how much influence they have, right? I mean, we have to give them the simple definition of leadership. What is leadership?
Influence.
Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Okay. We have to I had to be awakened to the nature of leadership, right? As a society, culture will have you confused thinking it is a position, it is a place, it is a seat of power. And yeah, there's influence that comes along with that, but leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Yeah. And we can illustrate that when you look at the boardroom and a decision needs to be made, and everybody doesn't look at the head of the table. They look to Sherrod across the way, because Sherrod is the one that's been connecting. Sherrod is the one that's been consistent. Sherrod is the one that's been executing. Sherrod is the one that's been displaying excellence. Sherrod is the one that knows what he's talking about. Now, he might not be the CEO, but everybody's looking at Sherrod because he has been the leader.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's good. That's good.
And so, and the fact of the matter is that these are principles that we're communicating. Principles are basically like universal laws that are in operation, whether we know it or not. Mm-hmm. And so while we talking about adding value, inspiring, while we're sharing these principles with you that we've learned and that we're learning and that we're aware of have empowered us to lead ourselves and influence others well. We just want to encourage you to also recognize your influence. If you have a circle of influence, if you have people in your lives that you're connected to, you have influence and you have the ability to lead. That's why we say it's in the areas of life, leadership, and community. Mm-hmm. It's a full 360 all the way around. from the people you work with, whether you sit next to them, whether you report to them, whether they report to you. It's at home, your wife, your children, or your spouse or your children. It's it's on the bus. If you commute to work every day and you see the same people every day going to work, influence. And that's what I love about Full Circle, what Terod was talking about earlier, so that he makes an effort to always be cordial, always be kind, always be looking for opportunities to help others because he's recognized his influence. I can tell you for myself as an introvert, I haven't always recognized my influence. Most of the time I was in my own world thinking about
I mean, me too. Yeah, absolutely.
I have to make an effort. Like it doesn't come natural. It's not because I don't want to help. It's not because I don't want to care. It's just because I'm reserved, and most of the action that happens is on the inside. Right. People be like, "Oh, I don't know how to do him. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know this." But now that I recognize my influence, I know that I'm not extroverted, but I've learned to connect. So this is not, most, when we think about connection with people, we look at all the extroverts, the people who never met a stranger. That's not accurate. We're all capable of connecting. We're all capable of recognizing and harnessing our influence to make an impact. The question is, what kind of impact do you want to make? Yeah. What kind of impact do you want to have in your life? What kind of impact do you want to have as a leader? And what kind of impact do you want to have in your community?
The thing that I think that's powerful, and then I'm gonna shut up, is that the fact when we talked about just influence, right? That again, our ability to influence others, that again, that's leadership. But the influence starts with us, right? Us as the individual. You can't give what you don't have. If I can't influence myself, it is impossible for me to think that I can turn around and influence someone else
positively.
Right. Positive. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. Right. But if I am intentional, right. So now we're talking about self-leadership.
Yeah.
Right. Self-leadership, not just we're at leadership it starts inwardly, right? Before it's then developed to come out. Right. Yeah. So that is it. Leadership starts inward because you got to be able to lead yourself to be effective in influencing and adding value to others because it's going to come from the inside. Everything that I've learned, everything that I'm talking about, everything that I've experienced has led me to my ability to define my value, connect it with my potential, identify my goals to then influence people because I walked it. I've been there, right? One of the definitions of self-leadership that I love is self-leadership is the practice of intentionally influencing your thinking, feeling, and action towards your objective. That's self-leadership. Intentionally influencing your thinking, actions, right, towards an objective.
Yeah.
Self-leadership.
And that's why, all of our talks, they tie together so well. If we look back over the last 20 episodes, we've talked about self-leadership. We've defined leadership. We talked about self-leadership. We talked about, making a difference. What does it look like to live a life where you're pursuing significance over success? And it's just, they all build on each other. And we talked about mental health, the importance of mental health, which is not a regular topic of conversation in our communities, but we realized through our own journeys and our self-leadership, the importance of mental health awareness and mindfulness as well. And where we're talking about influencing our own actions and behaviors. If you're not aware of the things that you have gone through and your triggers and et cetera, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to self-lead well, right? You're going to, just like the old saying goes, you're going to be your own worst enemy. No matter how good your intentions are, if you're not self-aware of the things that trigger you, you're not self-aware of your own shortcomings and opportunities, you're going to trip yourself up. And so that's why we preach that, we want to be our best champion, really. We got to whip ourselves into shape. And that's a long way for me to go. As far as on my journey, I've had to learn. We talked about the importance of self-talk. You know, there's so many of us that just don't realize if they heard that conversation, they'd be like, wow, I never realized, like, I am not kind to myself. Mm-hmm. And what the results of not being kind to yourself are. It's devastating. And we don't even realize it.
Yeah. My man Barry, he said intentionally influence your thinking. Love it. And how many I'm pretty sure we can all think of people that we seen, whether it was growing up in life, whatever, that had businesses or great ideas, but they did nothing after that. And so we're talking about self-leadership. And the problem, a lot of times the problem is because hey, anybody can drop a coin in a slot and win some money every now and then, right? But to be intentional and be self-aware, which is when we're talking about self-leadership, is about being self-aware, and that self-talk, being able to encourage yourself. I like that scripture when David said he had to encourage himself. Mm-hmm. Everybody around him mad at him. They said he had to encourage himself. So he had to remember who he was and who he served to be able to say that. That was the key for David to be able to say. Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. For him to be able to say, I know what, it's time for me to encourage myself, because at this moment, everyone's against me. I know God's with me, but everybody here with me is against me. So I have to encourage myself. And so when we talk about our thinking and our thought patterns, if we don't understand them, if we're not clear about who we are and how we think and how we process things, we could be successful, but we won't be able to replicate it because we're just not self-aware. We don't know who we are enough to be able to recognize the steps we took to get from point A to point B, and process the things or the mistakes we've made, and be able to say, okay, I made it by doing this, but I can't sustain it by doing this, and I can't get anything else done by doing this. So,
brother, I just got to ask you to repeat what you just said about the replication. Because that was cold-blooded.
Well, I'm saying it's a process. It's about thinking and knowing who you are. So what I said is, a person gets from A to B. Mm-hmm. Like I said, anybody can jump. I like money. So 20-something years ago or something, went into a casino, dropped $20, won some money. I was done. I like money. That 20 would have been it for me, but I dropped in the slot, won some money. I'm good. You know, ain't nothing I got to process about that. Guess what? I don't have that type of personality with that to be addicted to gambling. Not that I done had issues with other stuff though, because addiction, that's another thing. But addiction is addiction. You know,
it is.
Well, you addicted to this. At the end of the day, addiction is addiction. No matter what you're addicted to, you have to be able to recognize that. But anyway, so from A to B, I made it. You know, people have get to the spot where they made it, but they, like I said, they're not able to process. Internally process how they got there in a way so that not only can they sustain where they are, but they can exceed that. And I just remember growing up, people that own stores and people that done this, they didn't get nowhere else. And not that they couldn't have, but oftentimes we're such in a hurry to do stuff and then try to do something else. We don't recognize the process that got us there. We don't recognize the faults that we made, even though we made it. Those faults along the way, you can't do that. You can't be like that on this next level. It don't work like that. You know that last time it worked. You left your shoe in the mud and you kept running. It worked this time. Mm-hmm. Next time you ain't gonna be able to leave your shoe in the mud and keep running. I'm gonna need Sherrod to help me get my shoe out the mud on this level of getting to where I want to be. Mm-hmm. I can't do it by myself, you know. So that like we always say, that self-awareness, that self-talk, all these things are important to us being whole. And when I say whole, it's based on where you are. To your whole is where you want to be. At that point, your whole. So if I say I want to write a book, there's some issues going on from where I am, and that potential is between where I am now and that book. So everything now I gotta cultivate that potential. And one thing I know for sure, because if I could do it on my own, I would have been did it. So I know I can't do it on my own. That's just a fact. It would have been done. Yeah. This thing been marinated for some years. But guess what? Now I've recognized that. Guess what? I'm around some people. that can help me. Individuals that encourage me. Right. I have a different a way of thinking about how I even can get there, just in general. Because guess what? The people that I know can help me, they can't be with me 24/7. So I still have to do something within the framework of, guess what? Self-talk. Man, you know what? Get up this morning. It's funny. Last week I was thinking, and I used to do this, and I need to start doing it again. I need to get up when I go to brush my teeth and wash my face, look myself in the mirror and say, guess what? You're great. Today you're going to do this today. Or guess what? You on the right track. Don't worry about it. It's coming along. And we forget sometimes that we got to do that. We have to. If I can't encourage myself, can't nobody else encourage me. Yep. Because guess what? When Sherrod try to encourage me and I can't encourage myself, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I thanks, man. I appreciate it. But I'm in my head, I'm like, man, ain't nothing. I can't do this. Right?
That's confirmation. Right. So again, you encouraging yourself, and then me and Ian coming behind and then encouraging you as well. It's just confirmation of what you already know. Right. Of what you already know. Man, you said so much. It's hard for me. I should have been taking notes so I can remember what it because you said so much, bro. I mean, all great stuff. But the one thing that's been jumping in, we've been talking about the value of connection, man, and we hit around it, but we didn't say it directly, right? And I want to put light to it. That again, connections, the value of connections are not just horizontal, right? But it's also vertical.
Okay.
Right. Because if you think about it, how we started this conversation, we were talking about again, I mean, we were putting scripture on it, right? But the number one, the value of the connection is not who I'm attached to down here, but it's also who I'm connected to with God, right? My connection with God, my relationship with God, because that's where my true value is. That's where my true potential is. That's where my strength is. That is where all my ideas flow from. That is where my purpose derives from, right? That vertical connection. And the only way that I can strengthen that connection is, again, through positive affirmation of that of which I know to be true, which is his word. What his word says about me is true. So the value of the connection is not just horizontal, but it's vertical as well. And I would say that's the most valuable connection that you can ever have if you really want to just make anything work. Yeah. But you also said something else, man, that I came to light today, right? That again, God revealed and let me see, because you said that sometimes, again, getting your shoes stuck in the mud, where you are in one area and then trying to go to another area. And I've been frustrated. So let me just be all the way real. I've been frustrated because I've been in a situation or in an area where I'm like, it doesn't match where I'm at. It doesn't match my goals. It's not getting me to my point. And you love those opportunities or those times when you get that little tap on the shoulder. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like that little tap on the shoulder and you be like, huh? And then he just be like, now, did you just pay attention to this? What happened there? And I'll be like, nah. And then he give you a replay real quick. And then you just be like, really, Lord? Did you just smack? Yeah, all day. Right. And what I'm talking to is, again, even my current role and position at one of my many jobs, right? But my passion, my goal, my love, right? My calling, coaching, speaking, writing, and all those different things, which is all about what? Communication. How you engage people, how you talk to people, how you understand people, how you can make valuable connections. And it was like, boom. He was like, bro, you've been in this you've been in this for the past 3 years and you are just now catching this. And I'm like, my bad. Like, you know, charging to my head, not my heart, because I just didn't recognize. But again, I didn't see it for what it was, right? I was frustrated because it wasn't what I wanted, or I wasn't where I wanted. I didn't see the potential and the opportunity that I was in. But now I see it. And the value of that connection is completely, it's changed my view, my perspective, my perception of the opportunity that I'm in now leads to so much more. It reminds me of Earl Nightingale. He talks about just the acres of diamonds, right? Long story short, basically saying that, again, we're always looking at other people's fields, other people's acres, not knowing and understanding that we're tripping over our own diamonds. If we would take the time to tend to our own acre of diamonds, we have them already, but we're not looking for them. Or we're paying attention to everybody else's diamonds and what they're getting and thinking that I need to get over in their field in order to get what they got when you have the same thing in your own. And I think that even goes back to, again, the value of connections, because being connected to you brothers have given me so much insight, gave me so much confidence, so much courage, so much value that I would not have been able to do by myself. I am better because of our connection. I continue to get better. Even my connections outside of our connection are getting better, right? There's value everywhere in this thing. I'm done. Let me shut up.
And then we're looking to wrap up here. So final thoughts, guys.
Well, y'all know if you give it to me, it would be another hour.
Man, I would just say about, one thing I wish I had known just about connection, or I would have understood about the connection aspect, is that the seasons. Because I'm the type of person that I was real shy, but I love the relationships, and then you get out of a relationship with people and it's just like, man, you miss them or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just realizing that people are seasons. I just wish I understood seasons at the time. I do now, and that's what it is. It's seasons. Everybody in your life isn't going to always be that part of your life. Some people are there for a season. But the key thing about seasons is, what are you going to take from it? And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback right off of what he said, because the thing that jumped out to me is that what we understand about seasons is that, again, they come and they go. But the value in the season is what you take from it. Right? Because, again, from fall to winter, right, what happens? The trees lose their leaves, right? But then what comes right after that? Spring. And what do they get? They get new leaves. But they couldn't get the new leaves unless they let go of the old leaves, right? So new seasons, man, there's so much value in the seasons. So much growth, right? And it's all about who you're connected to.
That's right. We here at the Brothers in Influence podcast are grateful that we are connected with you. Thank you for tuning in. As you know, we stand to add value, encourage, and inspire Black men in the areas of life, leadership, and community. This is the end of episode 20. We'll be back next Monday, 6:15. We love y'all. Peace.